Like you'd have to really make something interesting there for me personally to engage with it.
But when you're watching a film like this, you're like, oh, all these characters are nasty and cruel.
Are we supposed to ask what the purpose of a movie is? You know, like what's the purpose of Pirates of the Caribbean?
It seemed to be so close to home that most of the characters that played their parts, that's how they behaved in real life.
Should you have to have a background? Shouldn't a story just grab you? Shouldn't it just go, hey, here's the story. You want to hear a cool story? All right, let's go. Boom. And then by the end of it, you go, wow, that was a really cool story. Okay, shall we crack our beverages?
Thomas, welcome to episode 16.
Is it 16, is it? Oh, yeah, we cheers with our mineral water. Welcome to the Video Lineup Podcast. This week we are doing All About Eve from 1950.
1950.
And we don't have headphones on.
No, it feels weird.
Yeah, it does feel weird. I keep looking up at the picture of ourselves just above our camera just to check myself out.
Yeah.
I know I look good though, so
yeah.
I should stop.
So, how's your week?
My week this week. Oh gosh, no, you put me on the spot. I can't remember. It was pretty good. I got pretty unwell.
Yeah.
I got pretty unwell. I watched this movie and then became very sick.
Yeah.
So I don't think
not because of the movie.
Not because of the movie. Although we can get into my feelings on the movie. Which
okay. You're revealing.
I don't want to reveal.
I just said to you before.
We're trying to create a sense of mystery.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we got introduced. We have new microphones.
Yeah. It's the SM7DB.
Yeah.
From Shaw.
Dropped some stacks and got ourselves some new microphones, and that's about all that's happened this week. I can't think. Bit of
when
work.
You're sick and it goes through the family, you just have to lay low, don't you?
Yeah. We still managed to watch the movie, so that's good. But not much else I can't think of. Do you know people ask you that and they're like, "Oh, how you been?" And it's been like 3 years since you've seen that person, and you're like, "Good." I mean, whether it's 3 years or it's 1 week, I can't seem to summarize anything that's ever happened in my life ever.
Yeah.
I see why people write autobiographies or something. So you run into a famous person that's written a book and they're like, "How you been?" You're like, "Just read my book."
Just read.
I wrote it all down. I'm not repeating myself.
Have one
here.
on hand. Just give it to them.
How about you?
Yeah, it's been good. A lot of work. I went on a spontaneous hunting trip for one night, which was good. So I watched the movie the night after, so I was pretty wrecked. And I don't think it allowed for the right mindset for watching this film, but
too busy out slaughtering helpless animals, so just in a mindset.
It wasn't like that. No.
It wasn't like that. No.
But the scary thing was where we were hunting, there's a lot of wild dogs. And we were like sitting there, we're hunting at night, and you just hear one dog start howling, and then it would just like 100 others would start howling. So my friend said, if you see one and it's coming at you, you've got to shoot it.
Got to shoot it, yeah, because they'll have rabies or something?
Just they're aggressive. So if they're desperate.
Oh, that sucks.
So
it's had to be a wild dog.
Yeah, but there's a lot out there.
All right. Yeah, I know they're pests. They kill other animals and stuff.
Yeah, no other competitors.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for listening to the Video Lineup Podcast. We hope you enjoyed All About Eve. We didn't even care to talk about it. So, All About Eve, 1950. We've got to get into this chat GPT.
Written down.
Now that we've done a catch-up, we actually did catch up. We didn't even talk about these things before the episode began.
Yeah, we try not to. Keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. Just
all right, so...
Oh, that would have been a good opportunity for me to keep it fresh. All right. Anyway.
You missed it. So All About Eve takes us deep into the glitzy but cutthroat world of Broadway, where reigning Queen Margot Channing, which is played by Bette Davis, is the ultimate diva until a seemingly sweet fan, Eve Harrington, which is played by Anne Baxter, slides into her life. At first, Eve's all wide-eyed adoration, but don't be fooled. Beneath the innocent act, she's scheming to steal Margot's career and spotlight. Throw in Celeste Holm as Margot's witty friend Karen, George Sanders as the cynical critic Anderson DeWitt, and a cameo by young Marilyn Monroe as a clueless starlet, and the drama is sizzling. With the ambition, betrayal, and plenty of sass, this film is a delicious ride, especially when Bette Davis drops the legendary improvised line, "Fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night."
Nice. I can hear that you asked, did you ask ChatGPT, did it make it a bit sassy with the,
Yeah.
you said that it was like, sizzling or something?
You have to give.
Use some adjectives, sound like a real estate agent, use more descriptive words.
Yeah. So
it was good. It worked. That sounded like the movie I watched.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think of the movie?
Are we doing that at the end?
Well, you don't have to like give it a rating, but like give me your feelings. What
it wasn't what I expected. There's a lot of similarities to, I guess the themes in it were similar to Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess some of the way it was filmed was similar to Citizen Kane, like the narration at the start of the film.
Yeah.
But I guess I couldn't help but comparing it to those films, and it, as far as the cinematography and the sets, they were pretty plain. But I feel like with this film, I was thinking a lot about it after, it's a lot of the dialogue, which I don't think I was in the right frame of mind to sort of pay the attention that was needed to sort of get all the, those one-liners and the humour and the subtleties.
Yeah. It's definitely, this one feels much further like Citizen Kane's got a similar vibe of drama, although because it's like 1942 and they're doing all this interesting stuff with the camera and the story is a lot more dynamic, passing through time. And Orson Welles is such a big, actor. Not that Bette Davis isn't, she's great. But there's just something about Citizen Kane that it is bigger. Like even when he has the big political rally, there's these interesting shots that create a sense of scale.
Yeah.
That, for my memory, never really happens in this movie. It's kind of like
I heard someone say the craziest thing that happened was
the petrol ran out of petrol or something.
No, what's her name? Bette Davis running down the stairs a little bit quickly.
Yeah. So it's pretty, and it's a world that, if I'm honest, I'm not interested in at all. Like I'm just not interested in like the drama between different starlets in behind the scenes in what is it? Broadway. Yeah. So like you'd have to really make something interesting there for me personally to engage with it. Yeah, okay. I will say I found Bette Davis really good.
Yeah, it was a great performance.
I kind of liked her. She was kind of cool.
Apparently she was sort of acting herself.
Yeah.
In it. It seemed to be a lot from what I heard from other people reviewing it, that there's so many similarities of the actual lives of the actors to the story. So.
Even to the point that didn't Bette Davis and the dude that she was like eventually like the two characters are in love and they actually married in real life.
Yeah, well they were both married, I think, and then
had an affair and got married. And then there's a line
only lasted 2 years or something.
10 years it was.
Oh, I thought it was 2.
I'm pretty sure it was 10 years.
But they both said they married the characters rather than...
Yeah, but then I think there's a line in the movie that talks about them, in 10 years you'll not know who I am or something like that. And then and in real life the marriage they divorced 10 years from the day they were married.
Oh, full on.
Sounds sad. You look at some of these actors. I know we're sort of digressing, but and I went to like see. Oh, okay, they got married. Cool. And I clicked on go the Wikipedia route. I don't know if it happens today as well, and I just don't know about it. But you go through, and some of them have got like 5 or 6 husbands and wives, and you're like, oh gosh, this is really sad.
Well, I was saying to my wife, like, if you're acting and you're in intimate scenes, like, you can't play those scenes without any.
Yeah, no, you're trying to make it authentic.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so maybe this was also the beginning of it being less, vaudevillian and more, as in to say like less stage, like Jeepers Creepers, like that sorts of things, and more. We're getting close to on the waterfront coming out. Okay, and we're getting more to realism. Yeah, you're getting away. Orson Welles is 42, and Sunset Boulevard was also released in 1950, so it's the same year that comes out. So it's a really interesting comparison. Both of them black and white. Just more real acting, maybe when they get in those scenes and they're being more real, it presents them with.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the like the dialogue's obviously not really natural dialogue. It's intentionally written, and there's so much
it feels like a play.
Content in it. Yeah.
And then was it also a play?
I think it was a short story in Cosmopolitan magazine.
Oh, well researched.
And then who was the director?
Joseph Mankiewicz. Which it's interesting we talk about Citizen Kane because his brother Herman Mankiewicz was co-writer of Citizen Kane.
Ah, okay. So maybe that's why there was that
Could be
similar
lingo sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a short story, and then they sort of expounded on that. I think it was based on a sort of loosely true story as well.
Okay, interesting.
Of some young girl trying to steal the limelight.
Well,
I imagine that would happen a lot.
Isn't that kind of like, I don't want to say age old, but I guess kind of an age old thing, the idea, at least definitely it seems that way for women, like that there'd be someone who's going to come up and
back then, because with Bette Davis, that it resurrected her career, right?
She said so. I remember reading something about that. Not that I knew anything else about the rest of her career. My only experience with Bette Davis, trying to acknowledge our massive audience. Hey everybody, is that song Bette Davis Eyes. And then I was whole time watching this movie going, what's up with her eyes that makes them worthy of a song? No, they were interesting eyes.
Yeah.
Were they that? Was there something about the eye? Is there another movie that her eyes feature heavily and that warranted the song?
I think that sort of what made her a captivating actor was her eyes, sort of when she was at her biggest.
I'm trying to work out what she did with her eyes.
But I think from what I read, she played similar characters, like strong feminine characters, maybe a little bit sassy and nasty at times, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I like the beginning of the movie where the what was her name again? I'm trying to remember the actress. It was Anne Baxter. Eve. So she plays Eve.
Yeah.
And
you liked her
in the beginning, but very quickly she became really annoying, and I didn't like. I just didn't like her. I think I didn't like her because I didn't trust her, and she seemed sus from the beginning, and and just too. I don't know, what would you say? Meek and mild, and it was all a little bit strange, and it did feel like a play. It felt unreal.
Yeah,
and because there's just something about this movie I just couldn't get. I wasn't that interested in, and I don't know if it's because I literally didn't know anybody in the cast other than I'd heard of Bette Davis. And to be fair, what's the lady's name? It'll come to me. She's also going to be in I should stop touching the mic. I keep touching the mic. Thelma Ritter. So she I don't know what else she did, but she was in this movie. She's like the runaround maid to Bette Davis. Yeah. And in Rear Window, she's the runaround maid to James Stewart. Our friend from a Christmas movie that we watched. Yeah. How many movies ago was that? It's a Wonderful Life. It wasn't that many movies ago.
Well, I think we had a break.
We had a break.
For those that didn't know. Yeah.
It's been a quiet year of movie watching. But so she's also in the similar role with this basically the same level of sass. It's almost the same character.
Yeah.
And I think that's 1954. And that's colour.
Yeah, okay.
So
I feel like I'm getting used to these films. The one before, Some Like It Hot, there's not really a hero in the movie, which I don't know why I'm expecting someone there to be someone that
Marvel has made you feel that way.
I want a hero. But it's...
I want to start singing because isn't that a song? We need a hero.
Yeah.
We need it to be.
But when you're watching a film like this, you're like, all these characters are not gross, but just, I don't know. They're a bit nasty and cruel.
At least Citizen Kane had Charles Foster Kane as the central character that you could sort of not like if you wanted.
Yeah.
And you also had the central guy who was pursuing the story after him. You know how that they would go back to his life. He was the central character, but really there was another person you were following. Your interest was following that person's interest as they went around and interviewed people.
Do you think they're being critical of this world. Like, it seemed to be so close to home that most of the characters that played their parts that was like their that's how they behaved in real life. And I don't know. Yeah, what was the purpose of
I don't know. I don't. Are we supposed to ask what the purpose of a movie is? You know, like, what's the purpose of Pirates of the Caribbean? I think I go to that sometimes for reference.
It seems self-deprecating if you're judging your profession and the actors that are in it and how they behave.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I don't know if they're criticising that. Because at that stage, a lot of women actors, when they reached their 40s, they didn't get a lot of roles, apparently.
Yeah, which sucks. So, and it was the same, I guess, in Hollywood. You know, like, it's just it's an unfortunate thing.
So maybe it was
they can't play,
acknowledging it, and over time it sort of changed. You know,
maybe it's changed if there are roles, but I'm sure that there's reasons why women who are a bit older don't get roles, and it's not fair. Yeah, I don't know. I can't necessarily say that I think that making the movie about your industry. I mean, again, the movie was self-deprecating about Hollywood because they do talk about going off to Hollywood as sort of this thing that's below them. So it is kind of Hollywood skewering these uppity Broadway stars, which I'm sure many of them came from that sort of world or knew that world. Yeah. But look, who cares? I think sometimes a story is a story, right? If you're going to make a movie and you like the idea of telling this story, it's interesting to see how... I think the interesting thing about this movie, and perhaps it was revolutionary at the time and why it is on this list and why people revere it, is not just Bette Davis's performance, but the subtle ways that we're comparing to the way the movies do it now, but the subtle ways that the Eve Harrington character undermines Margot's character, Bette Davis, throughout the movie. It's not as obvious as something like we've got things like what's that Kevin Spacey political one that got made, House of Cards.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, we've got things like that where you have characters double talking and double crossing each other. And we've got lots of examples, not that I can think of any specific right now, but that's one where you'll see scenes and it'll be very sophisticated how it's shown that someone's going to double cross or, you know, or betray someone. And we've also got things like insert shots, you know, where the character might, you know, move something just to obscure something. So that it's going to ruin someone else's day, you know, like a headline or
like Eve getting Bette Davis's husband to call at midnight.
Yeah. See, that's an example of like, that was more sophisticated. That was like closer to today's way of showing that. Not that it's badly done. It's actually really well done. It's just that we've got, you know, I think Bette Davis did her whole role in 16 or 17 days.
No, really?
Whole roll. So like that's pretty quick. So you're not going to get
crazy,
you're not going to set the camera up with a close shot.
They didn't have to travel around to different locations, did they?
No, it looks like the whole thing
in
was
studio.
Shoot it in a studio. She probably acted it like it was a play.
Yeah.
It was interesting. We're sort of like dancing all over with our opinions on it, but should we sort of pick and grab at and giving it some sort of like... We won't give it. We'll obviously give our rating at the very end.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking, what are we really going to reflect on with this movie? Because it does. I didn't dislike it the way I disliked the On the Waterfront movie.
Okay.
And I'm grabbing my phone to see if there's anything else that I really wanted to talk about with this movie. But it's sort of, for me, I don't want to say blah, but I'm not going to tell anyone ever to see this movie.
No, that's what I found interesting. I listened to some reviews from people who said this is the best film of all time, in my opinion. I'm trying to figure it out. I do think it's one of those films that you probably need to watch a couple of times to start getting it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, unless you pay a lot of attention. I think to my detriment, coming in with no background wasn't helpful, which I'm trying to do with most movies.
But should you have to have a background? Shouldn't a story just grab you? Shouldn't it just go, hey, here's the story. You want to hear a cool story?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Boom. And then by the end of it, you go, wow, that was a really cool story. I think the truth is that sometimes I don't want to watch a cartoon about a swan princess, and no matter how good it is, I'm just not going to be that interested. And, you know, I'm referencing my childhood here with the two sisters and watching some movies I didn't really want to watch. But that still might have been the best version of that movie that ever is. And if someone really wanted to see that, then they'll love it, right? Same goes for this or anything else, right? I don't really care about this world. And that could have, I don't think that anything was poorly executed. Obviously it's really, all of the movies on this list are that way.
Yeah.
But I think there's not anything in there that I appreciate in cinema.
So it's very niche. It's going to appeal to,
I think it's just an interpersonal drama. If you like, if you like to watch those sort of, dramas that they make, anything that like Nicole Kidman or Amy Adams or whatever, or Reese Witherspoon's doing on Apple TV Plus is probably that
sort of,
you know what I mean? Like there's these sort of dramas. A lot of it goes on in the lounge room.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Actually, I think there is a word for it. It's not like bedroom dramas or something, or lounge room, kitchen table dramas. Okay. I think that's the expression, where it all happens in the house.
Yep.
And it kind of all happens. What are our locations in this movie? We've got the theater and the backstage.
Yeah, it's backstage. You never really see them perform. I think it's more
just see the side stage of them coming off. Yeah. Which is great because it almost feels like it's all meant to be just about behind the scenes. It's never meant to be about anything else.
Yeah.
You got the car when they go away, and you've got the house and a hotel and some restaurants and some apartment. You're really inside, and you're always in these places when everyone else has left, or it's sort of off to the side. They have a party for Margot's boyfriend, fiance, husband, whatever. And when he comes back, and all these people come to this party, supposedly this big party, and we basically hang out in the stairwell, and people are just hanging out in the stairwell, in there chatting.
You don't need any extras, do you?
Don't need any extras. It's kept very small, and it created a great. I felt that was a party going on. But every instance that where something big could be happening, he's interested in telling the story where it's a few people gathering off to the side. And so the camera doesn't even bother showing anyone else, which is clever.
Yeah.
And we should mention that someone we have overlooked here is not last week because it was the week before that we did Some Like It Hot. Marilyn Monroe makes an early appearance in this movie.
Yeah, this was before she was famous, really.
But well, she obviously got this role. There's a first and a last name, so it's it's getting her way up there. But she'd done a bunch of movies. I looked on her IMDb. She'd done a bunch of movies up to this point, but nothing that was the Marilyn Monroe persona that she'd adopted. Yeah, that sort of the different hairdo and that sort of ingenue vibe. She was more just a blonde ditz. Like that's all she was in this movie, and she did really good.
It was similar sort of character to Some Like It Hot.
Yeah,
I think.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen the rest of the movies, and I look forward to seeing the rest of her movies. I hope she gets to do something different in her career. Plenty of people have. Yeah, she's gone now, unfortunately. So it's not like she's going to get to do anything different. But she seemed like she was.
They might resurrect her with AI, maybe in a film.
No,
they'll do it to make money.
They'll do it with Elvis and James Dean and all that, but. Yeah, so I she was in this movie, but I think it's just not the genre of movie that is of interest, and I didn't like the men in it. They didn't. Well,
they weren't the
they were sort
prominent characters. How do you feel like the three women, which seem to be the main?
I really like the blonde one.
Holm, her last name.
Okay. The playwright's wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was great, and she's the first character who speaks in the movie. There's a lot of
Celeste Holm.
Celeste Holm, Holm, yeah. So apparently, her and Bette Davis did not get along at all.
Yeah, I don't.
Apparently, Bette Davis said something along the lines of, "I liked working with everyone on set except Celeste Holm. That she was an effing bitch."
Oh, gosh.
I saw a quote like that, something along those lines. So I felt sorry because I'm watching this movie and they're playing besties almost the entire movie.
Bette Davis had a chip on her shoulder.
I think
so. A lot of her life, but
unfortunately, and Anyway, so should we talk about how difficult it was to access this movie? I mean, it wasn't super difficult.
You just had to buy it. I couldn't
on IMDb.
Couldn't rent it anywhere.
I mean, this is number 16 in the AFI Top 100.
Yeah.
And the only way to get it is to buy it on Apple TV. I don't understand why there isn't some streaming service where they're not dumping every one of these movies and saying,
I know
we've got
in
the
America
AFI
they've got Turner Classic Movies, which is like
is that a channel or is it a streaming service?
Maybe it's just I'm sure they'd have a streaming service now, but
yeah, it seems like a missed opportunity because even buying a Blu-ray of this movie was impossible.
Yeah,
so
okay.
They have
yeah.
Criterion collections, but in Australia it was like $60.
Is it as popular? Like the other movies were more accessible?
Well, I just think I think that with this being so high and the 3 female actors doing such a great, like they were all really good.
Yeah.
And they won was it nominated for 12 Oscars?
I think 14. It was the
14.
same as Titanic.
That's insane. This movie was nominated for 14 Academy Awards. That's insane, right? It won 6 of them, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actor, George Sanders, who was the...
It didn't win Best Actor because Eve wanted to be nominated as...
She strong-armed her way in, which is like perfect for her character, right?
Yeah.
She undermined Bette Davis's winning the Oscar, not on purpose, but because she wanted to be nominated in the Best Actress category, not the Best Supporting, which just shows you what political crap the Oscars are. And all these awards that are meaningless crap. Yeah. Not only because do they like not award, like how can you I don't know who the other person was who won, but sometimes how can you really pick best?
I'm terrible with the names. The lady from Sunset Boulevard was nominated, but then she didn't get it. And some random Fitzgerald, I think her last name was, from
who knows,
some movie I'd never heard of.
Hey, look at you starting to get the building some sort of back catalogue of knowledge. It's not Norma Desmond. That's a character's name. That's in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh man, we've watched these movies and we're forgetting the names. Yeah. Shouldn't be the purpose of watching these movies. It is too many movies.
How did you feel
Gloria
they portrayed
Gloria Swanson? This is off-putting not hearing my voice on microphone because I can punctuate things by going really closely and overpower you when you're talking. But I didn't realize I was doing it until now. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was asking you a question about how it portrayed the women in this film. Do you think he did a good job? Because obviously it's a male writing the script. And
look, I don't know the inner workings of a woman's mind, so I can't tell you, or especially in this era, not to say that they're all the, women in this industry all throughout time are all the same. It's just, I thought he did a really good job. I thought they all seemed really good. I thought they all seemed, there wasn't like they weren't one thing. You know?
They all had their own way of working in this system and trying to get their way to the top. Like you had Marilyn doing that sweet cutesy thing, playing dumb, but really manipulating the men.
Yep.
You have Bette Davis, this strong character who any man who wanted to take her on was brave.
Yeah. Even the dude who was in love with her was like, I can't deal with you.
Yeah. And then Eve, who was just manipulating everyone and sort of quite sneaky.
And then you had this Celeste Holm, who was the playwright's wife, who seemed like she was just trying to do the right thing along the way.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think this is why what I was saying before about like why aren't they championing these movies? Because you had so many Oscar nominations, and with so much complaining now about the Bechdel test or whatever. Like, did this movie have 2 women talk to each other and not talk about a man, then it can pass the Bechdel test. It's this stupid thing that lots of movies don't pass. But it's like, considering the uproar of sometimes when, they don't have that in movies and they make, the force is female and all that crap. We talked about that last week, I think. Yeah. Why aren't they championing these movies and saying, hey, you want to watch an awesome movie or remaking a movie or make this into a mini series or something? Maybe they're doing something like that. But
because these are strong female characters.
And none of them are, I mean, you might say that Eve is evil. You might say she's bad, but really she seems like she's just a desperate star, a person that wants to be a star, and she sees this is the only opportunity to do it,
and she goes out and gets it.
And who's to say that Margot, Bette Davis's character, didn't get into her position right now doing the exact same thing?
I feel like that's what the movie's saying. It's this cycle of these other women coming through, because at the end of the movie, there's another girl, ready to take Eve's
and
place.
Also the men. It's not like they're serving the men, because in a way, the playwright guy feels hamstrung. He's trying to keep Margot on, and I wrote this for Margot, this role for Margot. In the end, he only goes with Eve because Margot releases him and says, yes, you can do it. So it's not like they're serving the men's, they're all of the characters are cogs in a machine, and perhaps the bad guy in all of this is the industry, which we're certainly seeing now with things like the Diddy thing, and you had the Harvey Weinstein stuff, and you just see all this backstabbing. Some of these stars that hate each other, or you whispers that they hate each other. It's all tabloid things, but it kind of, you go, well, if there was millions of dollars on the line and adoration, which can you place a value on, and people adoring you when you've had no one even know your name for a long time, or if you feel like you've got something to give and the only way to give it is to get up in front of an audience and then all of a sudden they applaud you. But well,
there's a line in the film that sort of addresses that, isn't it?
Tell us the line specifically, word for word.
I think it was Eve just telling the picture of, fans coming in and basically what you said, adoring you, worshipping you, and
I'm basically just Joseph L. Mankiewicz right here in front of you, crafting. I think I remember the moment you're talking about, but it was a pretty good movie. I'm not going to say that I'll ever watch it again. I can't think of anything else that's.
Well, I've bought it, so
you own it now. Digital? Actually, no, you don't. This is
no.
What you own it is the right to stream that file from their servers for as long as it lives on their servers.
Okay,
it's something along those lines. There was a case in Australia where a lady owned hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of digital movies on a Telstra T-Box or something like that, and then Telstra. Our telecom, our phone internet company here in Australia, they pulled the T-Box as a product, and in so doing, she would obviously many people might have had dozens, whatever, they might not have had anywhere near as much money invested, or they didn't care in digital files, and then they were going to lose access to them, or she was going to have to migrate them over to some service that she didn't want to use.
Okay,
and so she took them to court, and she ended up winning.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I can't remember the details of it, but basically it was because she had, the understanding is that you've bought that digital file, but the reality is that you've bought the right to stream it. Essentially, you've bought access to reach in through a hole and grab the DVD on the other side and put it in your DVD player. And every time you go in there, as long as the file is there, you have the right to do it. But if it's not there, you've used your right. You're able to reach through there. But if it's not there, you can't watch the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's not actual ownership.
To buy the physical.
Hence
copies.
why we have some of these physical copies right here in front of us.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been low energy. I feel like I'm really leaning into this mic to do a lot of the heavy lifting with the dynamics of my vibe. Or is this the sort of vibe I always give off? I just don't get to hear myself.
Yeah,
so.
I don't. No, you've been good.
I've been good.
Have I been high energy?
Oh, you've been really high energy. I'm like, Nick is cranking it up. It's a whole other world when it's just really weird to make a podcast for so long and have your headphones on and have it cranked up really loud to make sure that you can hear.
It's like a cozy blanket. You feel safe and secure.
You feel.
Now you're out there and vulnerable. So.
You stay really aware of the mic without having to do any work. But then when you actually take away the headphones, it does feel like, I think I'm just talking to a person. I don't want to move away from the microphone. I don't know if I'm making any annoying sounds.
Yeah.
But anyway. I can't think of anything else to say about this. Is there anything else that this movie makes you think of? Did you come up with any conspiracy theories or anything that we can...
No, I didn't.
Man, we've got to start working in the conspiracy theories, to do with movies, because I love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I was thinking more about Marilyn Monroe, and sort of the character that she was playing was, again, very similar to her life story of sort of cozying up to people of influence and to get ahead, basically, which is sad, I think.
Yeah. So Marilyn Monroe was doing what Eve was doing, sort of, is that?
Or she was, because I think DeWitt was sending her off to, they were was a big producers or something, so she was going to sort of make them happy bunnies, I think he said.
Okay. That's gross, isn't it? It's just,
Oh,
what's our next movie? Can we talk about something good?
Yeah, do you know much about it? The next one?
African Queen. Okay, so I want to say it's Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart.
Okay.
What is it in the 50s still?
51.
51. We're moving away here. Actually, no, hang on. We decided, are we going to do that one as well, or are we going to skip ahead and then go back to that one?
It depends when we can record. We might be doing Psycho for Halloween.
No, ladies and gentlemen, I've got news for you. We're going to be doing Psycho because I have a feeling that we're not going to be able to squeeze another recording session before
Tom's
Halloween.
going to do Fancy Dress, he told me. So.
Yeah, I'll
you have to now.
I'll wear a pumpkin head like in Return to Oz.
Your original outfit.
Oh, I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
Okay.
So I accidentally suggested an outfit that might have been a spoiler. So I'm going to just stay quiet on that one. In case no one has seen Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock.
I haven't.
It is the
Tell me about it.
It is the source of the you know,
okay, yeah.
That's all the
Is
strings.
there the Wilhelm scream in it?
Maybe.
Stabbing someone?
I think the Wilhelm scream came up in the 50s, so probably maybe.
Yeah.
There's every possibility. We'll look it up.
Yeah.
Very good. It's it's really, this movie made me yawn. Oh man, talk Nicholas, fill the dead air. My eyes are watering.
Take away from you your thought.
I didn't sleep well last night. It's like I was just stressing about like this podcast and what I was going to say about this movie. I didn't love that much. Who did the music for it? I can't remember. Bernard Herrmann.
Okay.
Actually, Edith Head did the costumes for this movie, and she did the costumes for I think every Alfred Hitchcock movie.
All right.
Yep. So there you go. Cool. Costume is the same. And I told you Thelma Ritter's in Rear Window.
Yeah.
And Thelma Ritter.
They're all just names to me.
She was the offsider that was helping Margot in a dressing room and at her home before.
That's right. Sorry.
I was always like, what purpose is it? What does this lady do?
Yeah.
See, she's already got an assistant.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, so Psycho will be our Halloween release and we'll have fun with that.
Yeah, it'll be good. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it indeed.
All right. So out of
what?
What was significant?
Nothing was out of 5 off the shoulder dresses because apparently she put that dress on the like one that at a party. This is Bette Davis and it didn't fit quite right, and so Edith Head was in a panic. Yeah, and then Bette Davis just dropped it to her shoulders and said, "How about that?" And just like sat it down on her shoulders instead of fitting it up properly. It great. And it looked. I think it's like an iconic one, right? And doesn't she say? She said that's the line. She says. The famous line in this movie we just watched, the buckle up, boys, I think it's going to be a bumpy night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from this movie. So there we go.
Yeah.
We knocked out everything. All the factoids. When you aren't really that fascinated with a movie, it's really hard to drum up anything to say about it. So I think we've done a good job to talk about this one.
I didn't know where we'd take it, but yeah.
There's going to be, look, I'm going to go through, we've got here, there's quite a lot. We're going to delve from here on out. I think we're going to make a priority of talking about the conspiracies and the CIA and FBI and all the different involvement with these movies.
They do fund Hollywood.
Did you know the CIA has a hedge fund that invests in things?
Yeah.
Like that you can find out about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you can find out, but it's not like, rumors are they have a hedge fund. It's like, it's public knowledge.
Yeah.
It's got a different name and everything, but the CIA has a hedge fund that they invest in. That's crazy. Yeah. That's proper crazy.
But
also, I heard a conspiracy that the James Webb telescope has seen a spaceship that are coming towards Earth, and there's predictions that it will be between a matter of days and a matter of weeks before they're here. I'm not being facetious.
Really?
Yeah, and that the reason that they say their spaceship, I got this from the Ninjas Are Butterflies podcast.
Yeah.
That's a real podcast, and anyone who's listening to this should watch that, listen to that too. That the reason they think they're spaceships, and I don't know if they think they're spaceships, they're just, this is, the colloquial term, is because the objects had one trajectory and then they stopped and turned towards Earth.
It's all happening this year, isn't it?
It is.
A lot of drama.
And maybe that'll be the October surprise for the American election thing. There's always something happens.
Why not?
A day before aliens land instead.
The aliens will come to save us. There's my savior. That's
we've got to get in Psycho before they get here.
Yeah. All right. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. This has been fun. I hope our new microphones have sounded good.
So what's the rating, Thomas?
Oh, yeah.
I'm giving it 2.5.
Yep, 2.5.
Oh, we're always the same.
Why are we always the same? Well, because this list is, why are we even rating them? Honestly, it's the top 100 movies of all time.
But if they're in the top 100, they should all be 4s and 5s, I reckon. But
they should. Well, I'm surprised. In the top 100, they should all be 5s.
I don't quite get it why this is so high. But
yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with. I have to be 2.5. It's halfway in between. Yeah. It's not bad. It's not like a bad movie. What did I give the On the Waterfront? Like 2 or 1.5? I really didn't like it. I think I just don't like
You've
movies
grown
that
to
are
hate
just,
it even more, I think,
you know
over
what?
time.
I don't like movies that are just, there's no spectacle. And it does not say that I need there to be explosions or something, but if they're in the theater, I don't mind if the story follows them off stage, but just give us a few moments in front of the place us in the audience for a moment and let us see 10 seconds of the play.
Yeah.
And let us move into the room a little bit. Like there's an Alfred Hitchcock movie called Saboteur, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it with me. And there's a lot of, actually it does a lot of spectacle really well, but I always think about the end of the movie has him chasing him through New York, and he runs through the Radio City musical. I mean, I'm pretty sure he hangs from the Statue of Liberty by the end of the movie. I don't know how all this happens, but I can't wait to I want to watch that movie now.
Yeah.
But you know, I like that sort of stuff. I don't mind if 80% of the movie is, you know, kitchen table drama stuff, because that's good, you know, working out the characterization and all those other things. But a little bit. But if 100% of the movie is always in the lounge room or an office or at a dining table, I'm bored.
Yeah, it's more for the theatre rather than...
It is for the theatre. And it's for the actors to have a moment, you know, snap out of it, hey, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why the biggest moment in the movie, almost like the action scene of the movie, is when she's walking up the stairs and she's like, buckle up, boys. It's going to be a bumpy ride or whatever the line
you're
is.
Mixing scenes.
Buckle might be mixing our scenes. Buckle up. I don't know. Howdy ho, neighbors. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
I remember that.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother neighbors.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think it's bedtime.
I think it's bedtime. All right. Thank you very much for watching this podcast.
Thank you for watching. Hope you've
we love you.
enjoyed this journey.
Well, yeah. We're in a silly mood. It's all of this lime flavored mineral water. All right.
Yep.
We'll see you soon. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.